Don't you hate that an idea, flashes across your mind feels so sharp as so clear? And you say to yourself, I'll remember that one, that's genius, how could I forget it? And then a half hour later, gone like it never happened. That's the mystery of the mind. It can give you brilliance in a moment, then take it back just as quick. See, ideas are like little gifts, they're whispers. They don't come with a guarantee, they don't hang around long, waiting for you to get ready. They show up, and if you don't capture them, they're gone. And here's the tragedy. Sometimes those ideas could have been worth a fortune, could have been the seed that changed your business, changed your health, changed your relationships, but because you didn't write it down, you lost it. Think of it this way: life gives all of us chances. Opportunities, a word we overhear, a line in a book, a moment in conversation. And the person who learns to seize it, to hold it, to put it where they can return to it later, that's the person who rises, that's the person who builds wealth, who builds character, who builds a future. Now why do so many miss it? Because they think ideas are casual. They say, if it's important, they'll remember. But listen, the human mind is busy. It's JUGGLING, BILLS, PROBLEMS, CHORES, An idea comes floating through like a feather in the wind. If you don't catch it, the wind carries off. And tomorrow you're left with nothing but a faint feeling that you were about to think of something good. I was poor when I met Mr. Schoeff, broke, clueless, but I had a hunger to change. And he told me to start capturing ideas. He didn't say to wait until I was rich. He didn't say to wait until I knew what to do with them. He said to start now. So I did. I bought myself a little notebook, cost me less than $1. And that notebook became the beginning of my library. Over the years, I filled journal after journal. Notes from BOOKS, notes from SEMINARSMY, on Aria Felicituns, and sometimes I'd go back MONTHS later and read a line I'd written, and look at that, there's the answer I've been looking for. You know, sometimes you don't see the full value of an idea the day you catch it. Sometimes it needs time. Like seeds in a jar, but if you don't put them in the jar, you won't have anything to plant when the season comes. The reason most people live ordinary lives is not lack of intelligence. It's not even lack of opportunity. It's lack of captured ideas. Imagine what your life would look like if you had saved every good idea that ever crossed your mind. In the last 10 years, every insight from a conversation, every flash of inspiration. What would that pile look like today? You can't change the past, but you can start today. Don't let the next idea slip away, because ideas don't just belong to the thinker. They belong to the catcher. Whoever catches it, uses it, works it, that's the one who gets the prize. Now let's talk about the foundation of this habit, because capturing ideas is not just about notebooks and pens. It's about philosophy. It's about how you choose to value the unseen, the invisible, the intangible. When I was a boy growing up in Idaho, we didn't have much. My father taught me how to work hard. But I didn't know much about wealth, and then one day I met a man who changed everything. Earl Schoaf, he looked successful, he spoke successfully, he lived successful. And when I asked him how he did it, he told me it started with the way he treated ideas. That sounded strange at first. I thought success came from money or luck or talent. But he said no, success comes from ideas put into practice. Money comes later, talent grows later, luck might show up, but ideas, that's where it begins. Let me tell you what discovered. One idea can turn your whole life around. Just one, but here's the secret: you don't always know which one it will be. That's why you capture them, all most of them. Might be small, some of them might be ordinary. But every so often one will be extraordinary, and you won't recognize it if you don't have it saved. You ever plant a garden, you don't put one seed in the ground, and then fold your arms and wait. No, you plant a whole row, you plant a whole field. Why? Because not every seed grows, some get eaten, some dry out. Some never sprout, but enough of them do, and that's where the harvest comes from. Ideas are the same, write down enough of them, and you'll have your harvest. I remember one evening after a seminar, a young man came up to me. He said, "Mr. ROHN, I've got so many ideas, but I can't seem to do anything with them." I asked, "Well, where do you keep them?" He pointed at his head and said, "I keep them up here." I said, "No wonder you're empty, HANDED. Thinking about them is not enough. That's like holding SEEDS in your pocket. And never planting them. The ground doesn't reward your pocket, it REWARDS, what you plant." So I told HIM to start that very night, write them down. It doesn't matter if it's a business idea, a quote, a phrase, a dream, or a single word, capture it. And years later he wrote me a letter saying that one habit changed everything. He went from wishing to working. From HOPING to HARVESTING. That's the power of philosophy. If you think ideas are cheap, you won't collect them. If you think they're priceless, you'll guard them like treasure. And here's the truth, they are treasure, invisible treasure. That's why I've told AUDINCES, 4 years a journal is one of the greatest INVESTMENTS you'll ever make. Not the leather cover, not the paper, it's what you put inside. I have shelves of JOURNALS in my library. Some are 40 years old, and I can pull one down, turn to a page, and relive the moment when that thought first came alive. And I'm telling you, that's worth more than gold. Because gold you spend once, an idea you can spend again and again. And let me give you another reason this matters, at least to some of us that have been on this planet a little longer. As time moves, your memory, FADES, it always does. I don't care how sharp you are. A day, a week, a month later, the detail is gone, but when you've written it, you preserve it, and preserved ideas become building blocks. Think about the great inventions of history. The light bulb, the telephone, the airplane, you know what they all have in common? Someone captured the idea, SKETCHED, it wrote it, diagrammed it, built on it. Imagine if they just said, "Oh, I'll remember it," the world would be a darker place. A quieter place, a SLOWER place. Now you may not invent electricity or flight, but you can invent a new way of living, a new way of earning, a new way of leading your family that takes ideas. And to work with ideas, you first have to catch them. So, here's the foundation, treat ideas with respect. Guard them, write them, and remember, it's not the size of the idea that matters. It's the ACT of CAPTURNG, it. Because that ACT alone tells the universe, tells your own mind, I am ready. I am serious, I am a collector of treasure. Now once you've built the habit of CAPTURING ideas, the question BCOMES, what do you do with them? Because a notebook full of thoughts is only the first step. If all you ever do is collect, you'll end up WITH shelves of JOURNALS and no change in your life. The magic BGNS, when you review, when you reflect, when you sort through those CAPTURED, and start to put them to work. I used to set aside quiet evenings, just me and my journal. I'd turn the pages, read the lines, and ask myself, what does this mean to me today? Is there something here I can use now? Sometimes the answer was yes, and I put it into practice the very next morning. Other times the answer was not yet. But even then I knew it was stored. It wasn't lost. It wasn't gone with the wind. See, the mind is like a farmer, but the journal is the granary. You Don't eat the harvest all at once. You store it, you save it, you come back to it when the season demands it. That's why CAPTURING ideas is only half the battle, the other half is revisiting them. SHAPING them, testing them, and finally acting on them. Let me tell you about a young man who came to one of my leadership CONFERENCES years ago. He was restless. He said, Mr. ROHN, I've GOT, NOTBOOKS, full of notes, I've written down every quote, every idea, every line from every speaker I've heard, but I don't feel any different. What am I doing wrong? I said, you're mistaking recording for doing. Writing it down is the beginning, not the end. It's like collecting RECIPES, but never cooking a meal. At some point you've got to light the stove, and that struck him. He went home and started testing one idea at a time. He didn't try to use everything at once. He picked one line, one principle, and he worked it into his daily routine. 6 months later he wrote me, I feel like a different man. That's the difference between just CAPTURING ideas and actually putting them to work. Now here's something else. IDISCOVRED, the simple ACT of writing, MAKES, the idea stronger. More real, more clear. When you take a pen and you put words on paper, you're forcing the thought out of the invisible and into the visible, and once it's visible, you can look at it, you can question it, you can sharpen it. Sometimes I'd write a sentence and then circle it. Ask myself, is this true? Is this useful? Is this practical? And if the answer was yes, I kept it. If the answer was no, I let it go. That's the refinement process. Don't expect every captured idea to be a diamond. Most will be rough stones, but if you gather enough stones every now and then, you'll find a gem. And gems can buy houses, change careers, transform RELATIONSHIPS. But you'll never find the gem if you're not willing to pick up the stones, and sometimes these ideas connect. One idea by itself may not look like much, but when you place it next to another one you caught last week, suddenly the picture grows clearer. One note in your journal might just be a line from a book. Another note might be a story from a conversation. Another might be your own thought during a walk. But together they form a strategy, a plan, a breakthrough. That's why I say don't judge an idea too quickly. Some need partners, some need time. That's why you store them, review them, and give them a chance to multiply. Now, let me add this. CAPTURING ideas is about respect for yourself, respect for your own mind. When you write down what comes to you, you're saying to yourself, my thoughts matter, and why INSIGHTS count. And that BUILDS self-confidence, you stop seeing yourself as just drifting through life. And you start seeing yourself as a thinker, a creator, a contributor. That shift alone can raise your whole standard of living. So the process is simple: capture, review, refine, ACT over and over again. Do that long enough and you will wake up one day with a whole new library. Not just of words, but of RESULTS. Now let's get practical, because philosophy is important. But daily HABITS, decide your future, and CAPTURING ideas is a daily habit. When I first started keeping a journal, I made it a point never to leave the house without it, never if I was going to work. It was in my briefcase. If I was traveling, it was in my bag. If I was sitting at the coffee shop, it was on the table, because here's what IDISCOVERED ideas don't make appointments. They don't tell you I'll show up Tuesday at 3:00. They arrive in the middle of traffic. They arrive when you're shaving. They arrive when you're half asleep, and if you don't have something nearby to catch them, they vanish. I used to keep little cards in my pocket. If my journal was too big to carry, I carried cards, because you never know, and later I'd transfer the notes to my main journal. That system saved me countless ideas. Now some people tell me, Jim, I don't have time to stop and write, and I say, if you don't have time to write down an idea, you don't have time for success, because what good is running fast if you keep leaving the gold on the ground? Slow down long enough to pick it up. Here's what else you have to do. You have to review your journal regularly. Don't just fill it up and put it on the shelf. Set aside one evening a week to flip through the pages. Not to judge, not to criticize, just to see what's there. Because sometimes what didn't look important on Monday will shine like gold on Friday. You see, ideas don't just come from books and seminars. They come from conversatons, from observing people, from your own quiet reflections. Sometimes the most powerful idea will come when you're taking a walk. That's why I always say take your journal to the park, take it on vacation, take it to dinner. People laughed when they saw me pull out a notebook at a restaurant, but years later, no one was laughing at the results. And I want to talk about discipline, because discipline is the bridge between capturing ideas and living them. It is not enough to say, I'll write it down someday. You see, someday is too slippery. You've got to be immediate. If an idea comes, stop right, even if it's just one word. That one word can bring the whole idea back later. Don't trust memory, trust ink. And here's something that will multiply the value of your captured ideas. Share them, don't keep them locked up. Tell your children, tell your colleagues, share them with your team, because when you share, you clarify, and when you clarify, you understand more deeply. Sometimes I didn't even know how much I believed in something until I heard myself teaching it. But here's the key: you can't share what you haven't caught, you can't pass along what you never saved. That's why capturing ideas is not just for you, it's for the people you'll influence, for the legacy you'll leave. So practical. Step 1. Always have something with you to write. Step 2. Review what you've written. Step 3. Test it in your life. And step 4. Share it with others. That's how captured ideas become a movement, not just a memory. If you truly believe that ideas can change your life, and I do, then treat them with the seriousness they deserve. Because most people let life drift by. They let good thoughts slip away like water through their fingers, and then they wonder why nothing ever changes. I remember one evening years ago, I was talking with a gentleman after a seminar. He was frustrated. He said he'd heard hundreds of good ideas in his career, but he never made to get much out of them. I asked him where they were. He looked at me confused. I explained that if those ideas were really his, he could show me. He'd have them in a journal and a file ready to use. He admitted he never wrote them down. That was the problem. His life was full of uncollected treasure. Don't let that be your story. Let your best ideas, your best insights, your best sparks of imagination vanish because you didn't take the 2 minutes to capture them. That's a tragedy, and not just for you. For the people who could have been blessed by those ideas. Think about this. A good idea doesn't just belong to you. Once you catch it becomes part of your responsibility. What if the idea you lost last week could have been the solution for your business partner? What if it could have been the encouragement your child needed? What if it could have been the innovation your company was waiting for? When you lose it, the loss is bigger than just you, so don't lose another one. Don't trust your memory. Don't delay. Become a disciplined catcher of ideas. Here's a simple equation that I put together for you. Neglect this habit, and there is no doubt in my mind that it will cost you. The cost of neglect is always greater than the cost of discipline. A notebook costs pennies, a pen costs pennies. Neglect costs fortunes, neglect costs opportunities. Neglect costs a lifetime of what might have been. You add all that up, and what does neglectng? This habit cost you. It costs you a lot. One of the greatest regrets I hear from older people isn't about what they did. It's about what they didn't capture. They often recall having an idea once, thinking about starting a business, writing a book, or improving their health plan. But because they didn't save it drifted away, and the years slipped by. Don't let the years slip by. When I was 25, I didn't understand this. I thought success came from hard work alone. And yes, you have to work hard, but I learned something else. You have to work smart, and working smart means catching ideas that make your work more effective. One good idea can save you 10 years of labor, but only if you have it written down where you can find it. So be a collector, be a saver, treat every idea as if it could be the one. Carry your notebook, carry your card, stop whatever you're doing. If something important comes to mind, capture it, because what you neglect to catch you lose forever. And I'm telling you, there's something powerful about living this way. You start to walk through life a little different. You're more alert, attentive, expectant. You're listening for ideas. You're watching for them. You're ready to catch them. And that kind of awareness changes everything. You stop drifting and you start searching. You stop being casual and you start being intentional. And that shift from casual to intentional can take you from average to extraordinary. So, here's the question I have for you. Will you start treating your ideas like treasure, or will you keep letting them slip by? Because the answer to that question will tell me what the next 5 years of your life will look like. This stuff can touch every part of life: wealth, health, relationships, leadership. Every area can be transformed if you learn to catch and work with ideas. Take wealth. Some people think wealth comes only from big opportunities, an inheritance, a lucky break, a stock tip, but in truth, wealth often begins with a small idea. A new way to save, a better way to invest, a different way to serve customers. A man hears a phrase, a seminar, profits are better than wages. And if he it can change his financial destiny. That's what happened to me when I heard that line. I wrote it down, I let it sink in, and eventually I built my first business. But if I had let that phrase vanish into thin air, I might still be working long hours for small wages, never knowing what could have been. Now health doesn't change overnight. It changes through ideas captured and acted upon. Someone suggests you cut down on sugar. Another recommends daily exercise. A book tells you about vitamins. You hear about rest, about water, about balance. Each idea by itself may seem small. But if you write them down, if you stack them up, if you begin to test them, you can build a program that adds years to your life. But if you just nod your head and say, that's a good point, and never capture it, it slips away, and your health slips with it. What about relationships? A friend shares, a principle. Listen twice as much as you talk. You hear it res, but if you don't save you forget it. And the next time you're in a heated discussion, the wisdom is gone, but if you've written it down. Revived, thought about it, you're ready to apply it. An idea can heal a marriage. An idea can improve your relationship with your children. An idea can make you a better friend, a better neighbor, a better leader. And leadership is nothing more than influence. And influence grows with the ideas you live by. Leaders don't just they think. They reflect, they pass along principles, but you can't pass along what you don't possess. I've seen great leaders pull out a card, a note, a quote right in the middle of a meeting, and shift the whole atmosphere of the room. Why? Because they had it captured. Ready-to-use leadership is ideas in action. You see, the discipline of catching ideas is not a single skill. It's a master key turn IT in one direction. It opens financial doors turn IT, another it opens doors to health turn it again. It opens the door to better RELATIONSHIPS. It is the same key, but the locks are many. Now I want to warn you, don't underestimate small ideas. Wealth often starts with a small SAVINGS plan. Health starts with one habit RELATIONSHIPS change, with one phrase of kindness. Leadership BGINS, with one principle applied. It's not the size of the idea. It's your willingness to capture it and give it room to grow. So imagine if STRTING, tonight you became a faithful catcher of ideas. Every principle you heard, every phrase that struck you, every flash of insight. You wrote it down, and then you REVIAWEDIT, and then you applied it. What would your wealth look like 5 years from now? What would your health look like? What would your RELATIONSHIPS look like? I'll tell you, different. Sharper, stronger, richer, because life doesn't improve by chance. It improves by change, and change BGINS, with an idea CAPTURED and LIVED. You see, CAPTURING ideas isn't just a habit, it's a declaration, it's a way of telling life that you are ready, that you are LISTNING, that you are serious, and when you start to live that way, something remarkable happens. Life BGINS too, send you more opportunity, doesn't waste itself on the careless. Life DELIVERS more to the person who shows responsibility with what they already have. If you're careless with an idea, why would life give you another? But if you prove faithful, if you catch it, write it, think about it, test it. Suddenly you find yourself in a flow. One idea leads to another, and soon your mind is alive with possibility. Success is zone. ETHING. You attract by the person you become, and the person you become is shaped by the ideas you capture and apply. That's why this matters so much. This isn't about NOTBOKS. This is about becoming the kind of person who is worthy of success. You tell me. How is it that two people sit in the same seminar, hear the same speaker, the same message, the same stories? One leaves with nothing, the other leaves with 3 pages of notes and a plan. Who do you think will be farther ahead 5 years from now? Same room, same words, but one captured and one didn't. That's the difference between drifting through life and designing a life. I remember when I was broke, 25 years old, with nothing in my pocket but excuses. And then I met Earl Shoaf. He gave me ideas, he gave me philosophy. And I started catching it all, writing it all, and little by little those words turned into actions. Those actions turned into HABITS. Those HABITS turned into RESULTS. And those RESULTS turned into a whole new life. All because I didn't let the ideas slip away. You gotta raise your standard. Don't just be casual about life. Don't just wait for things to happen. Start living alert. Start living awake. Become a hunter of ideas, because the ideas are out there. They're in BOOKS. They're in CONVRSATONS. They're in the air around you. But only the prepared mind will catch them. Carry a journal everywhere. Don't be embarrassed. Don't think it's old. FASHIONED. Don't think people will laugh. And if they do, then let them laugh. They won't be laughing 5 years from now. When your RESULTS are different and theirs are the same, let them call you strange. Strange is better than broke. Strange is better than sick. Strange is better than average. And don't stop with catching them. Work them, test them, stretch them, share them. An idea in motion is worth 100 left to fade in memory. So what would happen if you started tonight? What if the very next idea you catch BCOMES, the one that changes everything? You'll never know unless you write it down. You'll never know unless you choose to ACT. This is maturity. Maturity is the ability to say, if it's worth hearing, it's worth writing. If it's worth writing, it's worth reviving. If it's worth reviving, it's worth acting on. That's the ladder. And the person who climbs it moves from average to extraordinary. Here, let me give you the vision 5 years from now, you with shelves of journals. PAGES full of notes, a mind alive with ideas, a life full of RESULTS. That's the payoff. That's the prize, and it all begins with a pen, a notebook, and the discipline to capture ideas before they disappear. So I want to leave you with one final challenge. Not a suggestion, not a wish, a challenge, because if what I've shared tonight only entertains you, then I didn't do my job properly. But if it moves you to take action, even just a little, and we've done something important here tonight. The challenge is simple. Don't lose another idea. Don't let another one vanish into thin air. Life has already given you too many gifts that slipped away. That's enough loss from tonight. Let's draw the line. Imagine what it would feel like 5 years from now to open your shelf and see JOURNALS stacked full of your own thoughts. INSIGHTS, LESSONSDISCOVRAES. Imagine how proud you'll be to hand one of those journals to your son or daughter and say, this is what I've learned, this is what changed in my life. This is the treasure I caught while the world was sleeping. Imagine being able to walk into any room with the confidence that you're not just showing up with memory but with a library. That's the gift you can give yourself. That's the legacy you can leave behind. Before I met Mr. SCHOF, my ideas lasted as long as a penny in my pocket, and that's not very long. But Mr. SCHOF told me to keep a journal. He always said, trust your head, trust the paper. That simple line, if you can capture it, remember it, live it will change everything. Because that's what I did at the age of 26, and my life changed tremendously. And now DECADES later, I stand here URGING, you to do the same, because I know the power of it. I've LIVED it. I may have lost it a couple years later, but I got it all back, and make no mistake about it, I have these HABITS to thank. You don't need to be rich to begin. You don't need to be educated. You don't need to know where it will lead. All you need is a notebook, a pen, and the resolve to never let another idea get away. That's that's the start. But once you start, don't stop. Make it a lifelong habit. Make it who you are. Become known as the one who CARRIES, the notebook, the one who LISTNS, the one who saves ideas. People will notice, and they'll respect you for it. They'll say, there's someone who's serious about life. There's someone who's going somewhere. And here's the bigger reason. Ideas are not just for you, they are for others. You might write down something that BCOMES, the very thing your friend needs. You might save a thought that BCOES, the encouragement for a stranger. You might capture a principle that your children will live by long after you're gone. When you catch ideas, you're not just serving yourself, you're serving generations. The choice is yours. You can go home and forget all this stuff, or you can start tonight. Before you go to bed, get a notebook, write something in it. A quote, a phrase, a dream, doesn't matter what, just start. Because once you begin, you'll feel the pull, you'll feel the excitement of building your own treasury, and from there, the habit will grow. And with it, your wealth, your health, your RELATIONSHIPS, your influence, because life, RESPONDS to the disciplined. Life RESPONDS to those who are ready, and nothing says ready like a person with a pen in hand, waiting for the next idea. So don't wait for someday. Don't wait for the perfect notebook, or the perfect system, or the perfect time. Just start, because the next idea may be the one that changes everything for you. And when it comes, I want you ready to catch it. Ready to work it, ready to live it. That's MY challenge for you. The same challenge that Mr. SCHOEFF gave me all those years ago. Become a catcher of ideas. Build your library, guard your treasure, because the future belongs to those who prepare for it. And I'm telling you, when you live this way, life is richer, life is fuller. And the chances are better, much better, that you will not only have a story to tell, but a life worth telling.